University in St. Louis, where I could jumpstart my independent research career and started the International Skeletal Dysplasia Registry, which still provides samples for our molecular research more than 40 years later. Soon realized I wanted to develop my own genetics program, and after looking at traditional university settings, I ended up choosing Harbor General Hospital, a county hospital with World War II barracks converted into labs. I received an R01 for my skeletal dysplasia work, and the NIH support for this project has lasted for 40 years. I was fortunate to recruit Mike Hayback and helped him start the TASAX program. We were able to Shanghai Larry Shapiro on his way to St. Louis from the NIH, and he became a faculty member as well. And Jerry Rotter, one of our fellows, joined the faculty. My first national leadership position was as a National Secretary-Treasurer of the American Federation of Clinical Research. I helped run the meetings in Atlantic City each year. I was then elected president of the Western Society for Clinical Research, and then 20 years later became president of the Western Society for Pediatric Research. In the late 70s, Arno Matulski, then ASHG president, asked me to form a committee to look into credentialing medical geneticists and accrediting training programs. I was able to put together a committee of the giants in the field, and we created the American Board of Medical Genetics. Since the ABMS was not accepting any new boards at the time, we hired the National Board of Medical Examiners to administer the exam. We asked the new ACMG diplomats whether the original board members could be grandfathered in, and much to our dismay, they voted no. So almost all of us took the next exam. I spent a year as president of the ASHG, and at that time I moved across town to Cedars-Sinai, which Rodney told you about, and we formed the Intercampus Medical Genetics Training Program. At the turn of the decade, I was asked by the ASHG to form a clinically oriented organization, and this is what happened. Laboratory directors were feeling disenfranchised at that time, were planning to form their old guild, and I assembled a group of leaders in the field. With the help of Mike Watson, we drafted a constitution for the ACMG and its foundation, making the college equally responsive to the needs of clinicians and lab people. We applied for membership in the Council of Medical Specialty Societies and became the 24th recognized medical specialty. It's interesting to look at this meeting now and realize that when we started this in 1991, the first meeting was held in Orlando with the March of Dimes. I think we had about 250 people there. So now we move on to the ACMG Foundation, which raises funds for this organization. Rod has done a splendid job in doing that, and getting Mike Watson to become the executive director and CEO has really made this a tremendous organization. So what are the lessons I've learned over these 50-plus years in medical genetics? They are: choose the right mentors, never let specialty boundaries deter you. If your original plan doesn't work out, immediately bounce back and take the next fork in the road. Set your sights high. If you don't aim for the sun, you'll never reach the moon. Treat your students and staff with respect, and they'll be glad to help you attain your goals. Choose the best people to work with. Hope that they all outshine you, and then you can take credit for the integrated finished product. If you just keep your eyes open, you'll discover numerous potential clinical research projects. Nothing stays the same. Don't try to preserve the old tried and true methods, but let someone else take them over and shoot for the next level. And most of all, be lucky in love. Cherish and take pride in your spouse and children, and don't let your job or ambitions interfere with a happy family life. This award is a great honor, and I have many persons to thank: my mentors, Clark Fraser and Victor McCusick, my friend and partner, Mike Hayback, the many people who helped me form the board in college, especially Mike Watson, my PPMG co-editors, Reed Pieritz and Bruce Korf, my institute co-director, Jerry Rotter, and my skeletal dysplasia team, including Dan Cohn, Bill Wilcox, and Debbie Krakow, who have all kept me from becoming a dinosaur. And especially my children and my wonderful wife, Ann, who is clearly the wind beneath my wings. Thank you so much.
I wonder if Dr. El Hatib and Dr. John Yee would please come to the podium. The ACMG Foundation thanks the Genzyme Corporation for its continuous generous support of this particular fellowship, now in its 6 years. Although funded by Genzyme, the ACMG Foundation accepts applications and selects the most outstanding candidate. This fellowship fills a critical training need in our field at a time when 100% of newborns in the United States are screened for the uniform panel, and over 12,000 babies are identified annually who require follow-up and management. The ACMG Foundation proudly presents the 2010-2011 Genzyme ACMG Foundation Clinical Genetics Fellowship in Biochemical Genetics to Dr. Ayman El-Hatib. This $75,000 fellowship encourages the recruitment and training in conditions in the field of clinical biochemical genetics, and especially in the diagnosis, management, and treatments of individuals with metabolic disease. Dr. El-Hatib will join the Medical Biochemical Genetics Fellowship Program at the Baylor College of Medicine in Houston and conduct a study that will assess glucose kinetics in patients with MELAS syndrome utilizing stable isotopic technology. Representing the Genzyme Corporation is Dr. John Yee. And Dr. Yee, would you please say a few words?
Thank you, Dr. Howell. At Genzyme, it has been our distinct pleasure and indeed part of our responsibility to support this fellowship program now for several years. And it is also our aspiration to continue and expand our support in the coming years, because in many ways this fellowship program both represents as well as supports a tripartite mission that we share together with the ACMG and each of you. First, to advance research, to continue to work together to find answers to many of the important remaining unanswered questions in the field of genetics. Secondly, to serve patients, to help each and every patient that we are responsible for to achieve their very best possible health outcomes. And thirdly, to support training, to work together to prepare the next generation of physician scientists who indeed can serve those patients and advance the field as it moves forward. So on behalf of my colleagues at Genzyme, it is my pleasure to congratulate Dr. El-Hatib and wish him all success in his career as a biochemical geneticist.
Yep. You'll have to admit that's a pretty big check even for Houston. I wonder if Dr. Marilyn Lee and Dr. Darren Lee, Mr. Darren Lee, would join me at the podium, please. The American College of Medical Genetics Foundation